What's an opinion that I have that you completely disagree with? What's a band or a hot take that I have that you're like, METALBIRB, you were wrong. No, that album is insane. You're crazy for thinking it's meh. Invent, Animate, Graveview. Village Wolf. Village freaking Wolf. You are absolutely correct. So we're going over 3 albums that I wasn't crazy about, but I re-listened to them prior to this live stream to see if I can form a new opinion. So first up is Invent, Animate, Graveview. I have mentioned in the past that I didn't connect with the emotions on this record. Maybe the riffs weren't resonating. It's just a record that I understood the hype and I understand why people liked it, but it just wasn't for me. And people who know me know I love prog metalcore. They're like, how could you not like this, METALBIRB? It's everything that you look for in this style of music. Couldn't get into it. So I listened to it again. Now let's start up with Dark. Okay, you said banger song, so this is still like one of my favorite songs off the record, and going back to it, yeah, it hits. I actually enjoy this song even more now after Heavener and knowing more about this band's discography and what they're trying to do. This song is sick. Now, I did listen to this album at the gym, purposely thinking this would be a good gym record, and yeah, this song is so good. Part sick too. Like, this song just hits for me. So I was actually, I won't say like pleasantly surprised because I already liked this song, but Graveview starts off really strong. So yeah, the Garrett Russell feature is cool. A lot of the atmosphere and just the guitar style is very similar to Northlane. And, you know, I think that's a very common comparison that the band has gotten over the years, is that they sound like old Northlane with the Adrian days. And here's a little bit of a hot take. The old Northlane, I've only enjoyed the songs. I never really cared for the albums that much. It was until Marcus and the Alien is what I think is finally like a really good record from Northlane. I shouldn't say finally, but it's just a really good record. So here, Invent, Animate, to be honest, I feel like after giving it a couple more listens, I do enjoy it more, but I still hold true to some of the criticisms that I had. And one of them is that the album does lack a lot of variety in styles. Now, there is some like vocal variation. Marcus does do a lot of cleans and different pitches from lows to like fry screams. But overall, I do feel like that this album is just focused around technical gent riffage with like emotive vocals. And I understand the audience for it, but I got a little bit fatigued towards the second half. So that criticism still holds a little bit true for me. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still parts that hit, like Monarch has a very amazing breakdown over here. It's nasty. And Fran, you did say Fireside was one of the best songs, and this is a song that really surprised me on repeated listens. It's very emo. That chorus is very emo. So this band is very much for like, to be honest, kind of nerdy emo kids. And I'm kind of one. So they've taken everything about this record, which was solid, like the technical riffage, the emotions, and they refined it with variety. Heavener, each song is distinctly different from the other one. And that is huge, where I feel like most of this album does kind of blur together. Heavener is still the best album they've done. They've improved big time at. Yeah, they really did. Marcus was new to the band. They had an old vocalist that they were familiar with, but Marcus was new. And so they didn't really have time to figure out the new dynamics in the band. And that's where Heavener kind of came in and really brought Marcus with his different vocal range to try different things and try really like slow songs. Like Without a Whisper, again, is still the best Invent, Animate song to me. And it's one of their slowest songs. I think it's just packed with emotion, and it's just the melodies in that are so memorable and beautiful. Nova, though, was very surprising. All right, so let's sum it up. Invent Animate here. I still hold true to a lot of the criticisms, but damn, at the gym, it hit, and I was connecting to the emotions through Marcus's vocals and the song progressions a lot more. But I do feel like Heavener took all the ideas that were working on this record and completely refined it and had a lot more variety. So again, a lot of my opinions still hold true that Heavener is a big step up for me. But this record, Greyview, hits the emotions behind the vocals and the power in Marcus's vocals and his screams with the intricate riffage is satisfying. There's no denying how satisfying it is, and I understand the audience for it. Part of me also feels like maybe I've outgrown this style of prog metalcore a little bit. I've noticed it with bands like Era and Invent Animate, and where like the gent techie riffy with sing screamy kind of style is, I do find that a lot of the bands sound almost similar, even though they're all distinct from each other. They all kind of are doing the same thing. So it holds me back from really enjoying some of these records where I do feel like, oh yeah, this just sounds like North Lane Era. Like it's not too different. Where Heavener, I felt like them getting more into their emotional, slower side really showed a new side to the band where it's very hard for other bands to imitate Invent Animate. Invent Animate really felt like they really became their own band on Heavener. Okay, another album that I was not crazy about, so much so that I put it in my top 5 most disappointing albums of 2022. I'm pretty sure it came out in 2022. This is a hot take. Very, very spicy hot take. That is correct. Token! Sleep Token with This Place Will Become Your Tomb. Now, I absolutely adore Sleep Token. Everyone knows this. Take Me Back to Eden was my album of the year. It's still one of the best albums that I've heard doing my reaction channel. It's one of the few 10 out of 10s I've given. So with This Place Will Become Your Tomb, I did not care for this record. I decided to go back into it, listen to it, pay attention to the lyrics, see if I can change my mind about it. So yeah, it starts off with Atlantic, which is honestly one of the most memorable piano lines that I think Sleep Token has ever written. The progression of the melody is just it's so beautiful. There's something optimistic about the sound of this melody too. And the drums are always placed so well on this record. Something that I appreciate a lot more is when the band comes in. So I love the drop. The drumming is just so intricate and the production is just chef's kiss. But after listening to Sundowning, right? I've been following this band since the EPs, and then Sundowning, and then their formula, which is a slow burn until it builds up to some sort of crescendo towards the end of the song, was getting very, very predictable. Although Sleep Token are like masters at that song progression, I was getting fatigued by that formula. So they did the same thing with Hypnosis, but Hypnosis is a fucking banger. Vessel doing his best, Chino Marino. Also, this song's a banger because it's one of the few songs on the record that actually has metal elements. And I'm not the only one that agrees that it's a banger. I'm seeing chat. I'm also seeing the views. This has 4.7 million views. Atlantic, which is still a fan favorite, has half, 2.2. But it gets really juicy towards the end. I love the little bit of Thal. That little bend, man. Mine is still a solid song. This was actually one of my favorites. You know, a criticism that I had about this record is that it's usually a criticism that I have with most album reactions that I do is the second half of the album. How are they going to maintain my interest? They need to keep doing little creative, surprising moments to keep my interest for like the entirety of the record. This record unfortunately lost its steam towards the second half, where Take Me Back to Eden and Sundowning didn't have that problem for me, where I felt like they continue to have surprising songs, right? The Take Me Back to Eden, the second half of the record is so much different than the first half. Every song is so distinctly different, which you can argue is the same case where every song is distinctly different. And I think that's one of the best selling points about Sleep Token is that every song definitely has its own identity. And mine is cool because the focus on electronics, right? Yeah, after Alkaline, it's not that interesting. So that's the opinion that I did have. Did it change? So look, I'm not going to play Alkaline. Everyone knows that song's a banger. It's one of my favorite Sleep Token songs. It was one of my favorite songs of the year. So on that same year, I put Alkaline as one of the best songs of the year, but I also put This Place Will Become Your Tomb as one of the most disappointing records. But then Descending. I listened to Descending again. This song hits.
Just take
so sexy, bro. So sexy. Yeah, Descending was a big surprise. I remember enjoying it, but maybe I was just being overcritical. At the same time, again, I needed variations to their songwriting is what I was looking for when I did my initial album reaction. But the biggest surprise was not Descending, but Telomeres. This song is so fucking good.
you got
Very Deftonesy. If you put that vocal effect that Chino loves to use, it would be very, very Deftonesy. But here, I totally forgot about this solo. And Vessel, he writes all the music, except the drums. The dude is just literally oozing with talent. Phil, man, that Phil. Sleep Token is always so good at just evoking emotion while letting the instrumentals do their thing, just letting the vibe, the music. We got High Water. This is another popular song that people love. One of the few metalish moments on the record, and then it ends with Missing Limbs, which is very similar to the previous project.
to fall asleep without you lying next to me.
Look, I put this record as one of my most disappointing records of the year. After giving it a listen years later, I wouldn't have done that again. You know, the expectations were through the roof after Sundowning. And I think it is a little bit harsh to put it in my top 5 most disappointing things of the year. And I understand how I felt at the time, but this time I wouldn't put it in a disappointing list. It's a really solid record. It's still a really good album. However, a lot of the criticisms that I have about this record still hold true. After listening to Sundowning and their EPs, if you're familiar with their songwriting formula like I was, then you would understand that the songwriting in this album is not the most refreshing in terms of how the songs progress. It does get quite predictable and it gets a little bit boring. Now, if this record was the first record that came out before Sundowning, like, you know, if it's not, the lyrics don't all tie together, I think I would enjoy the evolution to the music even more. If this was the first album, then it was Sundowning, then Take Me Back to Eden, I think would actually be a really smooth transition. Again, like the slow burn to like Take Me Back to Eden. This album is still probably their most cohesive record, where Sleep Token, every song, like I mentioned earlier, has like their own identity. For people who like albums that feel like a bunch of songs, or people that like albums that really feel like one full sonically sound record, I kind of like both. But Sleep Token is not the most cohesive band in terms of how the songs flow, but I feel like this record really has a much better flow than the other ones. So this is a really solid record. It does lack a lot of the metal, and when they go metal, I love it. And obviously I'm not the only one either. Hypnosis and Alkaline have millions of views, and then songs like Missing Limbs only have 604,000 views on YouTube, right? But it was until Take Me Back to Eden when they started including more metal, but also the genre blends and making songs that go 7 minutes and 6 minutes long. So they really flexed on the songwriting for Take Me Back to Eden, which is exactly what I needed and why I love that record so much. But this record, really good. Still my least favorite Sleep Token record, but there's no denying it's still a really solid album. All right, one more album or band that I've been critical about over the years. I decided to give them a fair listen to see if I can change my opinion. Do you know which band that is? I'm gonna say P5, Periphery 5, Currents. Currents is a good one. I could do Currents, but it's not Currents. For those that wish to exist by Architects. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. We could definitely do a part 2. We could definitely do a part 2. Damn, I'm just a jerk, aren't I? All right, no. Luty Noble's got it. Memphis May Fire. This is a band that I've been quite critical about. And the reason is, okay, I love their EP when they were like Southern post-hardcore. And then they got like signed to Rise Records, and I felt like that they were just getting a little bit on the generic side for me. And now this band, to be honest, has gone full-blown generic. But it's not that bad, okay? Generic can be good. Generic is like, think of it like a piece of pie. You know, pepperoni is a generic topping, but damn, it's still good. It's still good, right? So Memphis May Fire, they're generic, but damn, they still write some solid songs. Chaotic has been a grower. Paralyzed is solid. It's not my favorite, but because of it, I really want to go back to their older albums, specifically The Hollow, because that is considered one of the best metalcore albums of many. I decided to do an album reaction. It's already filmed. It'll be on Patreon later, but I'm going to share with you my thoughts. We'll start off with The Unfaithful over here, because I'll be honest, The Sinner, which is the album intro, still don't really care for that song. It's all right. It's all right, but the non-singles impressed me a little bit more. Like, this breakdown is sick in The Unfaithful. And then they have songs like The Command, which also has a really sick part. One of the few southern twangy kind of riffs that they have on the record is here. That part is sick. That part is sick. And what I was really impressed with this record is Matty Mullins' singing, and his vocal runs and his melody choices reminded me of like Johnny Craig from Emarosa or Dance Gavin Dance, right?
I think it's time we paid a little closer attention to all of this. Certainly when we needed you, I was too blind to see that.
So yeah, it's his singing that really impressed me. And like The Haunted, this song has a cool part too. So yeah, a lot of people are saying it's still generic, and yeah, it is. But one thing that I really appreciated about this record was the song progressions, which I always talk about, and like structure, and how they kept things interesting from like not repeating certain ideas. Like none of it felt cookie cutter, which is something I really liked about this record. Now their music sounds so similar to other bands back in the day, like What Was Me, The Word Alive. Personally, I'm a little bit more of a Word Alive fan because I just love the riffs in that, and when they go heavy, they go a lot heavier than how Memphis May Fire does. But this record also was surprising in terms of like still keeping my interest for 41 minutes. You know, they had an interlude, which I like, and then track 9 and 10 also kept things interesting with like breakdowns that were a little bit refreshing, or just vocal moments, and a really extended outro for the last song. The song almost clocks in at 7 minutes. So there's no denying that the sound of this record is still part of that generic core sound, and if you like got into the scene with this style, then it was like, you know, mind-blowing. But as a old head boomer metalhead, you know, I'm still hearing a lot of like the same metalcore stuff that I've been hearing for years, so it doesn't hit as hard for me. I also grew up listening to this stuff, so I had my bands. Memphis May Fire is still not a go-to band for me, but that being said, The Hollow is a fun time. It's a definite fun time. It's definite product of its time too, but damn, it's fun. So I was actually pleasantly surprised by The Hollow. The new songs are pretty good. Memphis May Fire is just a fun band. Again, a lot of the opinions that I have about them still hold true, but they're fun. Okay, I was surprised by how much fun I had with this record. Fun. But yeah, those are 3 albums that I was kind of wrong about. A lot of the opinions that I have with these records still hold true, but I was pleasantly surprised by how much enjoyment that I got from repeated listens. I think when I'm not loving a record or a song, you need to sit with it and maybe give it some time, come back to it, and then it'll reshape your opinion. And that's what happened here with these 3 albums. I think Sleep Token was probably the album that I'm most wrong about on this list. I think that record is still really solid, still my least favorite, but still good. I gotta quit doing this with my hand, man. Revolutions Per Minute 10 is one of my favorite albums. Dude, Revolutions Per Minute is one of the best records.